Steel Curtain Network.
¡Por Jorgito! ¡Goes down! Najee Harris! DJ Watt!
What is up, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Steelers Preview, where finally, it takes a while, but we get back to where we're actually previewing something and not just calling it the Steelers Preview. I'm Jeff Hartman. Y'all know me. Joining me is Dave Schofield. Brian Davis is still out on the West. Dave, what's going on?
Well, Jeff, it's exciting. Hopefully I have a good connection here right now because my internet just went crazy. But it's exciting that we are talking about a game of the Steelers being on the field. I mean, we keep counting it down and saying, oh, well, next week we'll get to talk about a game. Oh, next month we'll get to talk about it. Yeah, that next week we'll be talking about their second game because we're finally going to get to see it tomorrow night. I'm really excited. The weather looks like it's not going to be quite as bad in Pittsburgh. It shouldn't be storms, but it might be raining during the day. It might stop for the game. Bottom line is, let's watch some football.
I think that's the thing with me is everyone always says, that's preseason. And I get it. But for those of us that cover the team, and even if we're just fans, but we cover the team, like we're doing podcasts every single day, every single week. This is what we live for because now we actually have something tangible to talk about. So it might be a small sample size for some players, but it's something that we can actually watch and glean. So yeah, I'm excited too. I'm very excited. That's going to be the premise today is previewing this upcoming game against the Steelers, Texans, week 1 preseason. Let's go over the nuts and bolts here quickly. In case you don't know, this game is Friday night, 7 p.m. Pittsburgh Standard Time, so Eastern Standard Time. And it is at Acrisure Stadium. I do want to recap some players that are already been ruled out. Okay, so Dave normally does an injury report. Dave, I don't know if you have these names. I have them if you just want me to read through them.
I remember them, but yeah.
Well, there's a couple more that should be added. But
yes.
So let's do the veterans first. The guys are just getting the day off. They're not injured. They just, there's no reason for them to play. You're talking TJ Watt.
Or if they're injured, they're just dinged a little bit. It's not.
Right. Yeah. TJ Watt, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Cam Hayward, and Isaac Seumalo. So those were the 4 that Mike Tomlin said in his press conference, like they're not going to play. Now, the injured players that are not going to be suiting up, the only 3 that were listed by Tomlin, but I think this list was much longer, at least 2 more names. Russell Wilson with his calf isn't going to play. Alex Highsmith with a groin injury is going to be out. And Patrick Queen, I still don't know what his injury is. It's like a soft tissue, undisclosed type deal. He's not going to play. Roman Wilson is not going to suit up because he hasn't practiced since his ankle injury. And I did see, Dave, that today, Thursday, Braden Fihoko did not practice. And so it's maybe they're not thinking he's going to play. Is there anyone else that you can think of that might be out due to missing training camp time?
No, because the people, we know Roman Wilson's not playing, so that's obvious, yeah.
But he's trending in the right direction. No walking boot, no brace anymore, so that's a good thing.
But they're not going to have him playing a game until he practices. So I'm
now
hoping that means I don't know about week 2, but I'm hoping at least by week 3.
Yeah.
Let's see. Other people. Who else has it been? I know Rodney Williams came back.
He's back.
Yeah, everyone else kind of seems to be
Deshaun
back.
Elliott might. I could see them holding Deshaun Elliott out of his because he had like an ankle or something like that. Even he was trying to
yesterday's practice, and then he came back and today. Today was a glorified walkthrough. Is what it was.
That's true. Yeah, very accurate. So so there's just giving fans some idea as to who is already expected to not play. Now, Dave plugged this on the Pittsburgh Standard Time, but I'll let him do it here as well. And that is his feature on SteelCurtainNetwork.com on game day during the preseason. So as you watch and you're like, wait, I see 2 number whatevers, you would know who it is. Dave, why don't you go and tell everyone what you're doing on that side?
It's an article that simply lists every person on the roster. It's listed by number, not by name. Because I figured if you're like, oh, I want to know who so-and-so is, maybe you can go find him. But the bigger thing that happens during the game is you see someone make a play, you see the number, but you don't know who it is. Right. So it's listed by number. There will be some players that have 2 players have the same number. I mean, right now you've got 2 people that are on on the depth chart in a way that you think are both going to make the 53, wearing the number 30 in Jalen Warren and Beanie Bishop. So don't get confused and think Jalen Warren's on defense, something and things of that nature. But if you need all that, that'll be right there for you on the website. I have it up there in the game just because I'm ready to use it. I need it as much as anything.
Yeah. So steelcurtainnetwork.com is the website. We have a lot of other content for you leading up to the game, but that's going to be something that'll run closer to game time and it'll get you geared up and get you prepared for the game. So, okay, now that all the minutiae is out of the way, let's talk about what to watch for. Now, this is unique to every single fan. It's funny because, Dave, you and I both are privy to the analytics. We see the page views, we see the downloads, and it's hysterical to me how in the offseason, we have a pretty much a standard number. And then here we go, preseason's rolling around, and we start to see the numbers tick up again. And they start to trend up because some people are coming back. And so for those fans that maybe are interested in the preseason, maybe they don't know all these players. Maybe they're not sure what to watch for. Like, why should I watch? What is the intriguing aspects? And this is different for everyone. But Dave, let's start off just one at a time. What is something that you're anxious to watch for? And by the way, let me preface this with, we're also going to talk about players individually that you're looking forward to watching. So what to watch for, let's keep it more general, and then we'll dive into the players after.
Yeah, I mentioned a few things on Pittsburgh Standard Time this morning. Me being the person that I am, I'm looking at the offensive line. I'm looking at, are they getting surge on run plays? I'm looking at the defensive line. Are they holding their own at the line of scrimmage with everything? Things aren't fancy. I'm not expecting, defense, the Texans defense to run a bunch of stunts. It's basically going to be one-on-one, see who's better. But I want to see the offensive defensive line holding their own and controlling the surge. You want the surge of where the whole body, like the rugby scrum that you see move one way or the other. You always want that going in the correct direction for the way you are facing.
This is an individual, but it's not a player. I'm really interested to see Arthur Smith's offense. And I know it. I hope it's
that's the low-hanging fruit as well.
It is, absolutely. But we've seen bits and pieces, and we've heard about how they do primarily outside zone. Now they're running some gap schemes and what they like to do with bootlegs and stuff. And Coach KT Smith was on my Let's Ride podcast on Monday. He talked about the motions and how they don't just motion just to motion. It's always with a purpose to maximize matchups. I just want to see how he manipulates things. I want to see the 2-minute drill. If they're in a situation like that, how does his offense look in that setting? And so this is our first taste of Arthur Smith as the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive coordinator. We all heard the reports about when he was with Tennessee and what it was like in Atlanta. But this is the Steelers offense with him, and that might be a little bit different. And so I'm anxious to see what that looks like. What else are you looking forward to watching, Dave?
Yeah, just if you don't mind, I'd like to comment on that just
Absolutely.
a little bit.
Go ahead.
The thing to remember with Arthur Smith is you're like, oh, Atlanta, it wasn't the same. There's a whole difference. There's a big difference between being responsible for the entire team as the head coach rather than just being responsible for the offense as the coordinator.
That's true.
So I'm hoping that this is bringing it back. And I just kind of want to see kind of the personnel groupings. I don't expect them to do a lot of fancy things within there. Maybe we'll get some, pre-snap motion and things of that nature. But I'm kind of more interested to say, how often are they doing 2 tight ends? How often they're doing 3 wide receivers? How often are you using a fullback? Those kind of things to go along with it, to just kind of get an idea, because you don't want to tip too much. But a lot of that is how you're dressing everything up. The core basics of what you're doing and the format and the personnel packages you could be using are probably. I mean, if you get some really fancy stuff during the season, I mean, if they have a 3 tight end, 2 running back package, I don't want to see that in the preseason. No. But just otherwise, oh wow, I'm seeing 2 tight ends a lot. Those kind of things.
Absolutely.
So that's really what that. Another thing I want to see, I'm just going to group them all together. I'm just going to say the rookies.
Yes.
You really want to see those rookies in their first action. Are they going to, because some of them, think about it, it could almost be an overhyped thing. So I don't have huge expectations. I want to see them, control and contain themselves in the way that they usually can. Those first few plays, I'm just imagine rookie defenders. I'm thinking like a Peyton Wilson. You would want to be flying out of the gate on your first couple snaps of your first NFL scrimmage, I'm sure. So some of those, it's look at them at their second series to try to pay attention to them to see how they are and see if they're settling in the way they should be.
Well, especially when Mike Tomlin, he's spoken about this multiple times, but he mentioned it again in his press conference on Wednesday, was how a lot of the rookies and their development is based off of how they do against certain matchups. Now in training camps, it's, as he calls it, Steelers versus Steelers or Steelers on Steelers. And this is a huge opportunity for some of these individuals, mainly the offensive linemen and the rookies, to go out and put their best foot forward and say, I belong here. And I belong in a tier above where I am now. So we all assume that those rookie offensive linemen are going to be with the twos, and that's fine. That's where they're going to start. But it'll be interesting to see how they do. Do they get catapulted up to some time with the ones in week 2? That's definitely going to be something to watch for sure. I'm going to say for me, what else to watch for is, this is preseason, and I'm a football nerd. I just like watching football. I'm actually interested in special teams, Dave. I'm interested in special teams.
A lot of it. I mean,
I'm interested in Cam Johnson. I want to see that. The prized free agent acquisition of the Steelers. The very first player they signed in free agency was not Patrick Queen. It was a punter. I want to see what this guy can do. They're paying him handsomely. And the kickoffs, like you mentioned, I want to see, how do they handle that? Do they do the squib kicks with Matthew Wright, like we saw, like Coach KT Smith talked about when he was at training camp in Latrobe? Do they just try and kick it into the landing zone and let their coverage teams cover? How much do they unfold? This kind of goes back to what we talked about with Arthur Smith's offense. You expect it to be vanilla. I would hope that Danny Smith would have some type of, we're not going to unveil this just yet. So I'm excited to watch special teams. I'm sure you are too.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, this to me, it's really more about the kickoff, and it's not as much about receiving the kickoff. I want to see how well the Steelers cover the kickoff.
Yeah, that's true. It's both sides of it. It's both sides for sure. Is there anything else? Do you want to go to individual players?
We can go to individual players.
Let's go to players. Let's go to players to watch. These are players that you're excited to see individually for whatever reason. We did touch on the rookies, but you can talk specifically about those two if you want.
Well, I'm going to throw out there because I know he's going to be the guy going up against their ones to start the game. I want to see Nick Herbig on the outside since there's no DJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. I want to see what he does right off the bat as him being the guy going against their number one offensive line.
And I mean, Jeremiah Moon, you would assume Marcus Golden is probably not going to play. I wouldn't think Marcus Golden would play in this game. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't.
There's no reason to Jeremiah not dress him if he's healthy, but you might not want to put him out there much. Honestly, they might want to put him out there on special teams just to see if that's something he could do because he couldn't last year. That's true. They might not have to do it this week.
But you realize, like, Alex Highsmith's out, groin injury, TJ Watt, veteran, off. Jeremiah Moon's going to get a lot of reps either way.
Yeah.
And so if he wants to make the team, he's going to have to put together a choose our skipper type preseason probably to make this roster. So we'll see if that happens. I like that. And I'll take the low hanging fruit again, Dave. I'm excited to see Justin Fields. I really am. I'm excited to see, and I know Mike Tomlin said it's going to be a few series. And I think a lot of that's going to be indicative of their play. Yeah. So for instance, if he has 2 really great drives, even if they don't end in points, but they move the ball well, he might say, okay, you're done. This is a big game for him. If we assume, and maybe that's a hasty assumption, that Russell Wilson will be back in week 2, like this is Justin Fields' opportunity to show the Steelers, hey, this is what I can do. And I said on my Let's Ride podcast with Jeremy Betts in the All Bets Are Off segment, I don't care about him scrambling. If he scrambles for 25 yards, okay, Justin, I've seen you do that a million times in your 3 years in Chicago. I want to see if he can do everything that everyone said he can't do. Can he sit in the pocket and not hold onto the ball too long? Go through the proper reads, do all that stuff. Look
Can
for
he
like
draw back, hit his last back foot of his last step and let it fly?
Yeah. That's the stuff I would love. I really look forward to seeing. And unfortunately, I don't think we'll see it because, again, small sample size, but we might. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure you're excited as I am to watch Justin Fields play.
Oh, yeah. I am. I'd be even more excited to see Russell Wilson play because I think that's who's going to be playing at the beginning of the season. But, that's the right now they just have him in bubble wrap and they're like, I'll come up with a better analogy with that at some point when it comes to Russell Wilson. It's you don't want to put the presents under the tree too early on Christmas. You got to wait until later. There's plenty of time for those presents to sit under the tree. You don't have to put them out there the day after Thanksgiving. Yeah. So that's kind of what they're doing with Russell Wilson is saying, Coach Tomlin doesn't seem concerned at all about his workload with other people. So this is just a great time to get Justin Fields a whole lot of work. And I don't think it's, Coach Tomlin's not going to rule anything out, but I don't think this is because some people think they've decided on Fields already. No, they didn't. They'd let Russell Wilson at least fight for the job. Trust me, Russell Wilson is going to have every opportunity to show what he's got as well. And because if it wasn't for that, he'd already be out there. So I am excited to see Justin Fields just because I'm excited to see Kyle Allen. I'm excited to see John Rice Plumlee if he plays any quarterback in this game. I just think it would be good to see how that position's coming since it's all new people.
Yeah. So what other player are you looking forward to seeing?
Okay, other player I'm looking forward to seeing. Let's see. I'm stuck on second year guys because I already mentioned the rookies before. I want to see if they actually will look to throw the ball to Darnell Washington.
Yeah,
even though it's the preseason, I want to see if they'll look to throw it to him. Now, last preseason, I understand if they weren't because he was a rookie. And I know what they do in the preseason doesn't dictate that that's definitely what they'll do in the regular season. I just want to see if it's one of those things that they're like, no, he's out there, he's blocking, but we're not really looking for him in that. I just want to see what'll happen.
Even if he just gets targets, that would be. He's running pass routes. Like if he's just doing that, I'm pretty excited. I'm going to go in the secondary, and again, I don't know how long this guy will play, but I want to see Dante Jackson. It's one of those things where we know what Joey Porter can do. And yes, you want to see him continue in that upward trajectory, but I want to see what Dante Jackson can do. This guy that they got from the Deontay Johnson trade, he's been getting some good reviews in camp. I want to see what he can do. I want to see how he handles himself on the opposite side. Anything else, Dave? For you? I'm sure there's a lot of players
to go with Beanie Bishop as well.
Good
to
one,
see if he's the guy, if he really can be that diamond in the rough. He can hold down that nickel corner spot for at least the first half of the season. If not, then that might be somewhere where the Steelers are in the market for somebody.
That's a good point. It's a really good point. So who's another player you're looking forward to?
That's what I just said, Beanie Bishop.
Beanie Bishop. I'm sorry. I'm trying to do too many things at once.
I
know.
I didn't want to double dip. I wanted to give you a chance to throw out another one before I snagged him.
Well, I'm going to go with someone that you might not have right at the top of your head is Zach Frazier. And the reason
he was on my list.
He was on your list, but I don't know if he was the next guy. I just have not heard a lot about this guy. Like we've heard so much about Troy Fautanu. We've actually heard, in my opinion, more about Mason McCormick than we have Zach Frazier in training camp.
Probably.
And I got to be honest, that kind of is concerning. This was the guy that we all penciled in as saying this is a week one guy. They're not going to put Nate Herbig out there, but maybe they're downplaying it. Maybe they're slow rolling it. That could be, I get it. But still, I am expecting to hear more about this second round pick who is the most NFL ready. God, I hate that saying, but still I'll say it anyways. The most NFL ready center because he has so much experience. He had more than JPJ, Jackson Powers Johnson, coming out of Oregon. He had more than the kid that went to Duke. I mean, yeah, exactly. Yep. So I don't know, Dave. Zach Frazier is someone that's very intriguing to me. I want to see what he can do. Well,
also think about this when it comes to hearing about McCormick over Frazier. McCormick is a 4th-round pick coming out of FCS. So you're trying to say, okay, well, how long is it going to take him to get there? If he's ahead of his learning curve, that's news. That's news. Zach Frazier, everyone expected him to be a guy that was ready to step in. So if he's even doing those things, he's kind of doing what is expected, and it's not the breaking news of, wow, he's going above and beyond what we thought, as it would be with McCormick. But that's just me.
Yeah. So I went with Zach Frazier. Who you got?
Yeah. Well, I already said the name already, but not in this context. Peyton Wilson. Let's watch us some Peyton Wilson. I want to see him out there. I assume does he get the start? Since Queen isn't out there, I'm hoping he does, because I'd like to see him up against the ones. I'm not 100% sure it'll definitely be him.
Well, he's been coming in sub packages, correct? During training camp?
Like in the dime and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. They might start him. I mean, if Queen's not in there, unless they put Mark Robinson, which do they really want to do that? Or Tyler Matakevich, maybe? I don't know.
No, so I think to me, Mark Robinson, Tyler Matakevich, and Landon Roberts, they all play the one linebacker position. The other one, that's where it is Patrick Queen, Peyton Wilson, and Cole Holcomb, whenever he's going to be back. You know what I'm saying? So to me, Wilson's the guy there right now. And then didn't they just swap one out because the next guy down got hurt? That was the Tyler Murray, and they brought in someone who was a linebacker from Wyoming, I think, out of Wyoming. That was yesterday. So they did. Trust me. Just take my word for
it. Okay. That's good. And I agree. Peyton Wilson, everyone that I've read about in training camp has said that when he pops. But sometimes he's getting his legs underneath him and figure everything out defensively. But every now and then you see these plays being made. Like, well, that guy's got some crazy athleticism. So I'm with you on that one.
Yep. We hold on. We got to take an aside because other people won't see it. Is that we have heard from Brian Anthony Davis. He says, "Greetings from Northern California. I'm on the streets of San Francisco right now." He is tracking down. He is trying to get the inside scoop on Brandon Aiyuk. That's what he's doing out there. No, just kidding. He's out there on vacation. But
is the Bay Area considered Northern California?
Well, it's not Southern California.
No, that's
I know. On the Big Bang Theory, it was how long was the train ride from Pasadena to San Francisco? 7.5 hours. Because Sheldon wanted to ride the train and everyone else wanted to fly. So, yeah.
So, yep, that's out there trying to
get hello. And since only people on X would see it, I wanted to bring it up. So everyone across all platforms can see that he was reaching out to us.
Yeah. Okay. So Brian says it is Northern California. All right. I feel like it was more central, but maybe I'm thinking Northern California is like Sacramento and really far north. But anyways, I digress. Let's go to a couple more players to watch for me. You know, what I'm thinking about, it's kind of a grouping, but it's the wide receiver. So George Pickens is the guy. We know that. But what about everyone else? I want to see what Calvin Austin III can do. I want to see if Van Jefferson continues to play well. I want to see if Quez Watkins can do anything. Scotty Miller, he's a guy that was specifically named by Mike Tomlin in the press conference. I think that's significant. So I'm going to look at the wide receivers and just see what they have there. And of course, everyone's going to talk about Brandon Aiyuk and what he would do to the room, but he's not here right now. He's not on the team. So I can't say anything about him. We'll talk about him after the break, but still for me, when I think about players to watch, I am intrigued by this wide receiver room outside of George Pickens, because I think George Pickens is a known commodity at this time.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how much we can gauge from it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We'll see. That's why you watch.
It's hard because if the offense comes out there and tears it up, the fans are just going to be like, "Oh, we saw that last year. It didn't mean anything." And then if they come out there and struggle a little bit, they're going to be like, "Oh man, if they were this good last year and were terrible in the regular season, how bad is it going to be this year?" I have a feeling it's no matter what. I have a feeling it's going to be. There's going to be people that are really down on the offense, no matter what happens. And we're still 24 hours from this game being played.
We'll see.
So
All right,
that's why
David.
if I say because I want to see the other young cornerbacks finally see Corey Trice step on an NFL field,
Great call.
in a game. See if Darius Rush is holding his own out there. So some of those players like that.
Great call. I totally forgot those guys. So those,
Yep.
hey, for anyone that's tuning in or listening to this on the audio feed, and like, well, why do I really want to spend time watching this game? We just gave you a whole lot of reasons to watch this game. Like, if you're a Steeler fan, like we didn't even talk about Houston yet. This is just within the Steelers and the 90 players or the 90-man offseason roster. Now, before we take a break, I do want to say,
I was just going to say the one thing, Jeff, is you don't watch this game like you watch regular Steelers games.
No, not at
you
all.
watch those intent on seeing them win. This isn't about, you're not watching this game to watch a win. You're watching this game to gain information on how players are playing.
Right. It's important. Good note. I do want to say before we take a break, I want to get your thoughts on the fact that since Houston did play in the Hall of Fame game last week, they are planning on playing a good number of their starters in this game. D'Amico Ryan's already said CJ Stroud is going to take some snaps. You can expect their awesome wide receiving core to still be out there. What does that mean for you, though? Like, when you're thinking about this upcoming game in a Steelers perspective, does it do much for you? Or are you kind of like, well, it's just the next opponent? You know, like, what's your thoughts on them playing?
I love it because just like the year the Steelers played the Hall of Fame game that I've said before, which was the first year they went to the 3 preseason games, the Steelers still had 4, being on a different schedule than everyone else, you didn't really ever get your ones matched up on any ones. Now, the Steelers might not necessarily be getting their ones matched up on the other team's ones, but they're going to get the other team's ones. So we're getting this. To me, that's even better. You're getting to see, only a couple of the offensive guys are missing, but especially on the defense, about half of them, a mix of your ones and twos going up against the best that they have to offer. I love that. I want the better competition. Like last year, I was so frustrated that 3rd preseason game when Atlanta didn't play anybody. I'm like, I'm sorry. Yeah. Desmond Ridder is not that established of a quarterback that he could just play 1 or 2 series in 1 preseason game and be done. I felt that was a bad decision, and we kind of know how things worked out in Atlanta, but that was fine because the Steelers now have a new offensive coordinator from there. But I wish the opponents would play their top guys the whole game in all 3 games. So that's what I see what the Steelers are going up against.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm excited to see if CJ Stroud goes out and lights up the defense without TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Minkah Fitzpatrick, etc. Okay, let's see what the Steelers can do.
I'm not going to panic.
No, we should not overreact either way to this game.
Yes.
You shouldn't be jumping off a bridge if the Texans score in the first drive, and you shouldn't be elated scheduling the plans for the parade in February when the Steelers win a Super Bowl if they score a touchdown in the first drive. So we just got to calm it down. Keep it between the lines, as I say on my Let's Ride podcast. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back after the break, it is the return. It is the return of the over-under game. We're going to have our predictions. We're going to have everything for you on the second half. So if you're watching live on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, don't go anywhere. On the audio side, we'll be right back after this break. All right, we are back. Thank you all for being patient. We appreciate it. And let's get down to business. Before we actually do this, though, I do have to bring it up, Dave. I have to ask, we do the breaking news stuff and we do the Source podcast and stuff. We got to bring up Brandon Aiyuk a little bit. What do you think about the latest rumors? Again, not a report from us, not from our source or anything like that. What's your take on the rumors that there is a potential 3rd team involved? That's kind of the latest spin, I guess you could put it.
My thought is, if the 49ers are wanting a wide receiver in return and wants to get another team involved in order to get a wide receiver, why don't the Steelers just go get that wide receiver?
That's true.
And then not have to pay not pay the money and the draft picks and everything else that you could for I think the Steelers, and this is the whole reason that we heard that we were told from our source that at one point they were out, because I think they're saying, no, we're not moving. This is what we're going to do. And if you say no, then we're out. and it's a staring contest to see who's going to blink. But I don't think the Steelers are pressed like so many Steelers fans are pressed. Oh my goodness! Jeff. I'll tell you this: if you see a tweet or whatever, what do they call it now on X?
A post.
If you see a post on X that's about Brandon Aiyuk and the Steelers, don't look at the comments. Don't do it. I've done that before to see if the same person followed up at all. And I'm like, don't do it, because just give them whatever they want to get them. No, that's what the Browns do. And that's why they've never won the AFC North.
Yeah.
That's not how quality NFL teams do business. Think about this. The Steelers aren't going to, they might make a deal, but they're not going to make a bad business decision. So if it happens, it's going to be much better than what I think it is for it to happen. But I just kind of want it to be over with. You said it on Let's Ride on Wednesday. I just wish it was done. And it's almost, do you think the 49ers are trying to drum up the drama with it because that's good for them or not? I don't know.
I think they're trying to pressure Aiyuk into, I guess they're trying to pressure him into making some type of decision. But again, it depends on who you trust and who you listen to. Some people say that the deal between the Steelers and Aiyuk is done, and it's just that they got to figure out what the 49ers, what they want in the trade. I don't know. I agree with you. It's exhausting.
It's because it's multiple levels is why I think you're getting constant reports that then contradict each other. Because someone gets a report from an agent. Hey, we've got it. Deal's done. We know what we're going to do. We're the Steelers are ready to sign him. We just got to work out everything with the trade. People that said it's a done deal, they're just ironing out what happens in the trade. That's about as far from a done deal as you can get, in my opinion, because that's what it all comes down to is, will the 49ers accept it? Because they don't have to. And if I was the Steelers, don't give up anything more than that, because you don't have to. It's just, I want to know how to feel. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be like, oh, I just wish they wouldn't do it. And then he's wearing a black and gold uniform, and guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to cheer for him. I'm going to want to see him go out there and play great. But if he's not in a black and gold uniform, I don't care.
I'll tell you how I feel.
What happens to him?
I'll tell you how I feel. Just end it. And Dennis Pavlik gives us $2. Says give the 49ers a deadline for the deal. Yeah, that might have to happen. Thank you for the tip, by the way, Dennis. We appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, just get it done. I mean, today, for crying out loud, I went on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. I said, I'm sick of this Aiyuk stuff. I had a picture of Kobe Hamilton, combat catch Kobe Hamilton. I said, name a random Steeler wide receiver.
I saw that, and I meant to comment on it, and then I got sidetracked, and I forgot.
There's like 400 comments of people commenting random Steeler receivers. It's. I mean, this really caught fire.
Because you know what mine was going to be? I want to know how many people said this one. You ready?
Who?
Mine was Justin Hunter.
I think one person. I saw Justin Hunter one time. There was another one. What was it? DeMarcus Ayers. Someone said him.
Yes,
I was like, dang, that's
Ayers.
Crazy.
Yes.
Someone said then there's some people that were putting tight ends in there, and I was like, nah, I'm talking wide receivers. Give me a random wide receiver. There were a lot of Jericho Cotries, and then I said random, and people were like, oh, Antonio Brown. He's not random.
He's not random.
Not a random guy.
People don't get it.
Hines Ward is not random.
Yeah. What's sad is you could still be a pretty high draft pick and be random, because just think it's only going to take a couple more years, and you could say a random receiver, it would be Chase Claypool.
Well, I mean, second round.
James Washington's already a random one.
James Washington, Limas Swede was listed, second round pick. Yep. Wasn't Sammy Coates a second round pick?
Sammy Coates was a third.
Marcus Wheaton was a third, and he was listed. Eli Rogers, was he drafted?
He wasn't drafted.
Oh, he was undrafted. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I don't want to get sidetracked. If you're interested, if you're curious, go to my Twitter account at jhartman, HARTMAN_PIT. You can scroll down and you'll see there's a lot of names. Some people went all the way back into the 70s, and they were naming some really old receivers and stuff. It was a lot of fun. I actually enjoyed that today. So
yeah.
All right.
Here's one. You ready?
Yeah.
Ready? Justin Brown.
Yeah. Fred Gibson was
played
another.
8 games.
Fred Gibson out of Georgia was another one that was brought up.
Yeah.
And I don't even think he made the team.
No.
So, all right, here we go. Before we get to our over under, let's see here. Mostradamus gives us $1.99. Says, say Russ does well. Do they re-sign him or Justin? Now, I will say that, our source, which we trust inside the Steelers organization, has said that if Justin doesn't play, it's going to be really difficult for them to sign him. If Russell plays well enough, stays healthy enough that he doesn't get, he doesn't miss a game because of injury, and he's not being demoted because he's not playing well, they'll probably try to negotiate with Russell Wilson for another 2 years, maybe, to keep him and then try to find a younger option as well. That's just what we're hearing. Dave, any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, it can go the way, but also remember, I wish I had the number right in front of me. I was actually trying to look for it. Is how many quarterbacks started every game last year? Right around a quarter of them. I think it was. It's if it wasn't 8, it was close to 8.
Yeah.
So think about that. The odds are you're going to need to use more than one quarterback, even if it's just a little bit.
Yeah. So we'll see. And then they'll probably just let it play out. But let's get to the moment that everyone's been waiting for all offseason, and it's time for the over-under game to return. In case you're new to the program, whether you just found us on YouTube, youtube.com, search Steel Curtain Network, or you're watching this or listening to this, you're like, oh, finally, football is back because the over-under game has returned. I set typically 5 or 6 lines for a contest, and then the regular season, myself, Dave, and Brian will say over or under. We track them. We have a regular season champ at the end of things. Dave won it last year, I believe.
Yeah,
so,
I'm trying to find the exact total because it's here in my notebook.
Brian and I were really close. It's for second.
But, yeah. Well, I mean, there for a while, I was up.
You're up a lot.
I was up 5 on you for a while. I was like 34 to 20, 30 to 29. But that was at what point? That was, come on. That was before the last week of the season. Yeah. I think we take into account the playoffs, which I'm still looking for.
It's a new year, Dave. It's a new year.
You and Brian tied with 38 and I had 43. So I did win by a pretty good bit.
There you go. All right. So these are not going to be tallied. This is a warm-up. This is our preseason as much as it is the Steelers. So I have 5 things for this week 1 preseason game that we're going to track. We'll have to see what Brian thinks, and we'll send them to him via Slack. All right. The first one is, and this is total team Pittsburgh Steelers turnovers. And that's as a team, so not specific players or type. 1.5, Dave. You taking the over or the under?
1.5 turnovers. I am going to take, you know what? I'm going to take the under. I think they'll turn the ball over, but if they can keep it to 1 in a preseason game, I'd be very happy with that. So because that's what I would like to see and would be satisfied with it, I'm going to take the under.
I'm taking the over. I'm thinking 2, and the reason why is that if Justin Fields, let's say he doesn't turn it over in the few series that he
Brian's
plays.
giving us his answer in the live chat. So
there you go. Brian says under. So even if Justin Fields plays a few series, as Mike Tomlin said, that's a lot of Kyle Allen and that's a lot of Plumlee. That could be a lot of turnovers. So I'm going to say the over. I think 2. All right.
Yeah, but you know that the Steelers emphasize take care of the ball, take care of the ball.
That doesn't mean that they always do it.
Show what they can do. They're also going to be like, I've got to take care of the ball as much as anything.
Yeah, that doesn't mean it always happens.
Just because you're a punt returner doesn't mean you have to return the punt. Sometimes you need to take the fair catch when it's the smart thing to do.
And sometimes you got to make a play to try and make the team. So you got to catch the ball and try to return it. But anyways, let's go to the next one. Pittsburgh Steelers takeaways. So this is the defense taking the ball away from the Houston Texans. I have that line the very same 1.5.
I'm going to say under for that one as well because it's Houston's second game.
Okay.
Oh,
all right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
That I think that they'll be a little bit clean there as well.
I'm going to go under as well. I think they do get 1. But I'm just going to go with 1. And Brian says taking the over. This is interesting.
This is great that he can give it to us here. So that way, I mean, we'll reset it at the beginning. We'll see who wins the preseason. Yeah. So this is good.
I just am glad to be doing this again. All right, let's go to the next one. The Pittsburgh Steelers team rushing yards. Okay, so offensive rushing yards as a team total 125.5.
I'm pounding the over on that one.
You are?
Yeah. I think we'll see. I mean, I think we'll see an unusually large amount of carries.
Yeah. Okay, so you're taking I was going to take the over as well. I was thinking more close to 140. That line's probably a little low. It's preseason for me too. Give me a break. Dave Brian has not chimed in yet on the rushing yards.
No.
We'll get what he says there.
Yeah.
Tim Lyons, yes, we did not get Brandon Aiyuk yet.
Yes, we did not.
All right, let's go to the next
that
one.
Took the over as well. Okay.
Brian took the over. Next one. This is interesting. It's preseason. I'm thinking outside the box. Field goals made. So this teams combined. So not the Steelers, Texans and Steelers combined. Field goals made, not attempted, made 4.5.
4.5 field goals made. I got to think about it. Hold on. I already had a score in my head, so I'm trying to make sure it fits.
I haven't done my score yet. So
I'm going to go under because mine has 4.
Okay, Brian says over. Brian says over in the live chat. I'm going to go with under as well. I think it's going to be 2 apiece. So we'll say 4. All right.
Well, I don't even have it 2 apiece, but I have it under.
All right, last one. The 5th and final. Kickoff returns for a touchdown. Either team, doesn't matter. I have the line set at a half. So either it's a yes or a no. It's either a one. You say under?
Under.
I have under as well. I think that
let's see if Brian goes under on this one.
I think there will be returns for touchdowns. I just don't think it's going to happen necessarily in the preseason.
See, I've already had some ideas of how would I want to block this return? But in order to know how I want to block it, first I have to see how well the team's going to cover it.
Yeah.
Because, normally you have your lanes going in there, but it's going to be real interesting to see how that plays out.
Haven't heard from Brian yet. We'll wait and see there. So for those scoring at home, it's the first category, Dave, to make sure you have them all correct. Pittsburgh Steelers turnovers 1.5. Pittsburgh Steelers takeaways 1.5. Pittsburgh Steelers team rushing yards on offense 125.5. Field goals made all together. That's Houston.
That was a good line for that one. 4.5.
4.5. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then kickoff returns for touchdowns is a half. So we'll see if anyone gets a return. And we'll wait till Brian up. He said under the touchdown kickoff. So there you go. So let's do some predictions. This is crazy. This is stupid at the same time, trying to predict a preseason game.
Now we're not worried about the over under and the line, right?
No, I'm trying to see if there is a line for this preseason game. There has to be.
I'm pretty sure you can get one on DraftKings.
I'm looking right now. I've got that's week 1. That doesn't help me. I'll look later. Who cares? Screw it. What's your prediction, Dave?
My prediction is the Steelers are playing a quality opponent that's playing more starters than them.
Okay.
So that to me gives them a disadvantage. So I'm going with my score to start off because we're not in Baltimore, so we don't care about winning preseason games. We just want to see how things go. I'm going for mine 24-23 Texans.
Brian says Texans 24, Steelers 20. So he was close to your score.
Okay.
And I'm going Steelers 23, Houston 21.
That's a good one too.
So we'll see. We'll see.
Bottom line is, you want to see this game be a close game. And honestly, I said on Pittsburgh Standard Time this morning. Sorry, I keep saying that, but it's true. I really care more about the score. What's the score at the end of the first quarter? What's the score whenever the first teams are done? Because that's going to give you a better indication. If the Steelers are down 10 points going into the fourth quarter and come back and win, it's nice, but whoop-de-doo. If the Steelers are up up 10 points in the fourth, going into the fourth quarter and lose, that just tells you the guys at the bottom of the roster, you gotta, you need to go on, move on with your life's work. So I'm not worried about how things finish up when the players are out there that likely aren't going to be on in a helmet on game day. So therefore, if the game is won late, I really put no stock into the winner or loser.
All right, very good. All right, do you have trivia, Dave?
I do have trivia.
Okay,
I do have trivia, and Brian says he agrees with that. With looking at the starters and everything.
Let me put on my dunce cap and we'll get started.
All right, this one hopefully isn't so bad. And I was working this myself. This is something that I tried to determine myself based on everything else. So we'll see if I missed anybody. But I'm gonna ask you a question where you're just gonna shout out just a guess. All right. The Pittsburgh Steelers currently have 91 players on their roster because they have the international exemption. Going into, assuming they don't make a roster move before tomorrow's game, going into their first preseason game, how many of those players were on the roster for last preseason's first game?
Out of 91, how many of those players?
How many of those players were on the roster last year?
I'm going to say I'm thinking 40 for some reason. And that might be low.
Thinking 40.
Yeah.
Jeff, you are so darn close, but Price is right, man. You lose.
With 39.
I have 39 players. 39
Okay.
players. Now, I will tell you one of them, and I'm going to go ahead and mark this one off. One of them technically is David Perales, if that's how you say his name. He is technically, what's that?
He was waived injured, right?
Yes, but I think he wasn't claimed, so he reverted back to the Steelers on IR. And they can work out an injury settlement there. They're still in the time period to do that. So right now, technically, although he was waived injured, he's back on the Steelers on IR. So at this time, he would count, but that could change.
Okay.
So my question is, how many of them can you name?
Oh, okay. So the where I'm going to get stuck are these players that were on the reserve list, like had a reserve contract last year. They didn't make the team.
There's not as many of those as you think.
Okay. So let's go through it. So you've got Cam, TJ, Minka, Larry Ogunjobi, Montravius Adams.
Wow, you're going so fast, I can't mark them down. Okay. TJ Watt, you said Minka. Okay. Larry Ogunjobi, got that one.
Montravius Adams, Keanu Benton, Joey Porter Jr.
Hold on. Why can't I find Montravius Adams? Okay. Oh, there he is. You said Joey Porter Jr.
Yep. DeMonte KZ.
DeMonte KZ.
Landon Roberts.
E-Rob. I have these listed by number, so I have to go by those things. There's Landon Roberts. Okay.
Okay. Nick Herbig.
You got it.
Marcus Golden.
You're correct.
Okay, let's go. I'm sure I'm forgetting some reserve.
I'm just trying
players.
to find him. Now.
So you still have DeMarvin Leal, Isaiah Loudermilk.
They were on the Loudermilk. Yep.
They were on the roster last year. Braden Fihoko.
Braden Fihoko. You are correct. However you say that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find him here. What's his number?
No idea. Okay, Corey Trice was on.
Was there? Now, I will be honest with you. Corey Trice did not end up on my list. So maybe you were right with 40 because he was on IR last year, so he wasn't on the 90-man last year. So he was the other one that was questionable. I counted Perales because he technically was this year and was active last year. Yeah. I was only looking at the active players from last year is all I could get. I used my article.
Okay, so let's go now to the offense. So Isaac Seumalo, Dan Moore Jr., Nate Herbig.
Yep.
We have Broderick Jones. James Daniels,
Mhm.
Najee Harris,
Najee,
Jalen
Warren,
Pat Fryermuth,
Pat
George
Fryermuth,
Pickens,
George Pickens. Man,
Calvin
you're
Austin
you're
the third.
you're killing me going from 88 to 14. I got you.
Okay. Do you get Cat CA3?
Yep, got it.
All right. Calvin Austin the third.
You said Highsmith, right?
I did, yes. That was one of
Okay,
the
yeah,
first
that was the
ones.
one I missed on defense. Okay, gotcha.
Forgetting somebody. I know it.
Well,
Shoot.
you started to list a position group, and then you went back to wide receivers.
Are you counting Cole Holcomb, by the way? I know
I am counting Cole Holcomb.
Okay,
because
so
he's
let's
technically
have him
counts on 90 right now.
Okay, so he's on there. I forgot him. I forgot Connor Hayward. I forgot Rodney Williams.
And Rodney Williams.
Those are the tight ends. That was
who else?
Darnell Washington.
There you go.
How many am I missing?
Okay, let me see how many you're missing.
Probably a lot.
Come on. You've got another group to go to.
What is the group?
It wasn't offense and it wasn't defense.
Oh, special teams. Okay, so Christian Kuntz, Chris Boswell.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for checking them off. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, Spencer
6.
Anderson, Dennis said Spencer Anderson.
That's one I just counted that you did. There's someone that I'm not sure that you said or not. Okay. But you should have. Did you say Keanu Benton?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Well, then I didn't have him marked down. So I didn't have him marked down.
Mark Robinson.
Okay. Now you're getting into the ones that are the other than the all pro, you're getting into ones that are
well, you got listen, you're saying like I said TJ and Cam and Minka. You got all those, right?
Yeah. Only one of them was all pro last year.
TJ? No, yeah. TJ was all pro, wasn't he?
But you're missing the other all pro.
There's another all pro. First team?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Drawing a blank.
It's from the third group, technically.
The third group? What does that even mean?
Not offense, not defense.
I said Boswell.
I know, but he wasn't all pro. I'm saying this person was all pro from that third group.
Oh, is there a return man?
No.
Oh my gosh, Miles Killebrew.
Miles Killebrew. Okay. The other ones, you're only missing 4, and I'm not surprised. Okay. One of them they added today.
Yeah, I don't know.
Jalen Elliott.
Okay.
They brought back. Whether that was today or yesterday, I know they brought him back. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're missing Jalen Elliott. You're missing Dylan Cook.
Oh, should have known Dylan Cook tackle. Yep.
This one I'm surprised you didn't miss. Ryan McCullum.
I wouldn't have got that. That name escapes me.
He was on the practice squad all year. And last but not least, the only one you missed was he was an answer to another trivia not too long ago with Zach Frazier having 2 Z's in his name. A Z in the first name and last name. This was the other player on the roster.
I don't know.
Des Fitzpatrick.
Oh, I always forget about him too.
But you know what? You did really good answer this. So technically, I'm going to give you correct on that 40 because I did not have Corey Trice, and I probably should have if I had Prowess. So excellent job, Jefferson. I thought this was a good one for you to do.
Yeah, because I'm dumb.
Because you can. Yeah.
Broken clock is right twice a day, Dave. That's
because you know the current Steelers.
Yes, I do. You do 53-man roster predictions. You have to know the 53 players that make the team.
I mean, you guys did all right when I threw out those names of people on the bottom of the 90-man roster. So you know what you're talking about. But it was just having to remember the last year.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Dave, final thoughts?
Final thoughts are, my goodness, is it you and I that are going to be back tomorrow night?
Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow night.
I just realized that. Show to do. We haven't done a post-game show since January. This is fantastic. We will be here. I mean, my goodness, Jeff, if you wanted to, I'd even start before the end of the game where we could watch some of it together with people. But I don't want to put that out there too much because we want to give people time to get there. We want to hear.
I'd
Coach
live
Tomlin
stream the
speak
whole
afterwards.
second half because it's boring.
that would get Jeff to bed earlier. But I'm really excited to just put the jersey back on. I'm going to be wearing my jersey during the game. You know why? Because it's what I do during Steelers games. I'm not going to be invested on whether they win or they lose. They could win, and I could be upset with how some of the things went. They could lose, and I could be ecstatic with some of the things that I saw. That's the thing to remember with the preseason. The outcome isn't based on the scoreboard. And regular season and beyond, absolutely. It all comes down to the scoreboard. Not this time. This is what's going to make you better to be able to come out on the better end of the scoreboard for the rest of the season. Bring it on. Hopefully we don't have to talk about injuries or anything much afterwards. And just training camp's done. But by this time next week, they're done. At training camp. So that really means we're getting to it. So I can barely hold back my excitement. Let's go.
Yes. And so we'll be back tomorrow night. I realized there's a game tomorrow, but I was like, what's he talking about tomorrow? I go, oh, yeah, we got a post-game show. This is fun. This is a lot of fun. Post-game shows are always the best. So, we'll see hopefully everyone here again tomorrow night after the game concludes. We'll wrap up everything and get you all geared up for the weekend. But Dave, been a great show. Why don't you send us out like you always do?
Hey.
We'll see you tomorrow on the post-game show. Take it easy. Enjoy the game, everybody.
Steel Curtain Network. Get it.
Everybody else gets a little tight.